The message came at 3 in the morning, Earth Standard Time. It traveled across 400 light-years of empty space. It passed through relay stations that humanity had built over 2 centuries of slow expansion into the stars. When it finally reached Earth, it woke up Admiral from a dreamless sleep. He sat up in his bed and looked at the red light blinking on his communication device. Red meant urgent. Red meant something had gone very wrong somewhere in the galaxy. Was 62 years old. He had gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 40 years. He had seen many things. He had fought pirates near the asteroid belt. He had helped evacuate colonies during solar storms. But he had never seen a red alert like this one. He pressed the button and listened to the message. The voice was not human. It was high and musical, like wind chimes in a soft breeze. But the words were clear because the translation software worked well. "Please," the voice said. We are dying, they have come. They burn our cities, they kill our children. We have heard stories of humans. We have heard that you fight. We have heard that you never surrender. Please help us. We will give you anything, please." The message repeated 3 times, then it stopped. Sat in the darkness for a long time. Everyone knew about they were a peaceful race. They lived on a beautiful planet called Prime. They had 4 arms and blue skin. They made the most wonderful music in the galaxy. They had never fought a war. They did not believe in violence. And now they were dying. Got dressed and went to the command center. It was a huge room filled with screens and computers. Young officers sat at their stations looking nervous. They had all heard the message. Commander was already there. She was 35 years old with short black hair and sharp eyes. She was the best tactical officer in the fleet. Some people said she could see the future. Others said she simply thought faster than everyone else. "How bad is it?" asked. Pulled up a map on the main screen. It showed Prime and the surrounding space. Red dots filled the area around the planet. There were hundreds of them. They brought their entire war fleet, said. 300 capital ships, thousands of fighters. They are bombarding the planet from orbit. Why? Asked. What do they want? They have something they need. A mineral called. It powers their weapons. Prime has the largest deposit in the known galaxy. Looked at the map. They had no military. They had no weapons. They were like sheep surrounded by wolves. How long do they have? He asked. Days, said. Maybe less. The door opened and more officers came in. Captain Han Wu was among them. He was a big man with a loud laugh and a kind heart. He had served with for 20 years. They were like brothers. I heard the message, Wu said. What are we going to do? Before could answer, another message came through. This time it was a video. The screen showed her standing in what looked like a ruined building. Fires burned behind her. The sound of explosions filled the air. I am Ambassador, they said. Her voice was calm, but her 4 hands were shaking. I speak for my people. We know that we have no right to ask for help. We have never helped anyone. We kept to ourselves. We thought that peace would protect us. We were wrong. She paused as another explosion shook the building. We have heard stories about humans, continued. We have heard that you came from a small planet. We have heard that you fought each other for thousands of years. We thought this made you savage, dangerous. We stayed away from you. Looked directly at the camera. Her eyes were large and golden. Tears ran down her blue face. But we have also heard other stories. Stories of humans who protected the weak. Stories of humans who stood against impossible odds. Stories of humans who died so that others could live. We do not know if these stories are true, but we have no one else to ask. She fell to her knees. In culture, this was the ultimate sign of submission, the ultimate act of begging. Please, she said, save my people. We will give you everything we have. We will serve you forever. Just please, do not let them destroy us. The video ended. The room was silent. Every officer looked at Admiral. They were waiting for him to speak, waiting for him to decide. Thought about his orders. The Earth Council had a strict policy. Do not interfere in alien conflicts. Protect Earth first. Stay neutral. But also thought about his grandfather. His grandfather had been a soldier in a war long ago. He had told young many stories. Stories about standing up for what was right. Stories about protecting those who could not protect themselves. "What is the strength of our fleet?" asked. Checked her computer. "We have 32 capital ships available, about 200 fighters." "Against 300 ships," Wu said. "Those are bad odds." "I have seen worse," said quietly. He walked to the main screen and looked at the map. There were 400 light years away. At maximum speed, it would take the fleet 3 days to get there. "Send a message to the Earth Council," said. "Tell them what is happening. Tell them we need authorization to help." "And if they say no?" asked. Did not answer. He just kept looking at the map. 2 hours later, the council replied. The answer was no. Earth could not afford to anger the Empire. The risk was too great. They would have to save themselves. Read the message 3 times, then he deleted it. "Sir," said, "what did they say?" Turned to face his officers. His face was hard. His eyes were bright. "They said we are authorized to help," he lied. "Prepare the fleet. We leave in 6 hours." Wu stepped closer. He spoke in a low voice so only could hear. "You are lying," he said. "They said no." "Yes," admitted. "This could end your career. They could put you in prison." "Yes." Wu smiled. It was a sad smile, but also a proud one. "Then I am with you," he said, "until the end." One by one, the other officers stepped forward. The young lieutenants, the communication specialists, the engineers, they all knew what was doing. They all knew the risk. And they all chose to follow him anyway. In 6 hours, the fleet would launch. In 3 days, they would reach Prime. In 4 days, they would either save an entire civilization or die trying. Admiral looked at his officers and felt something he had not felt in years. Pride. The fleet gathered above Earth like a swarm of metal birds. 32 capital ships hung in the darkness of space. Their hulls were gray and scratched from years of service. Their weapons were standard military issue. Nothing special, nothing secret. At least, that is what the rest of the galaxy believed. Commander stood on the bridge of the flagship. She was looking at numbers on her screen. The numbers told a simple story. 32 human ships against 300 ships, 10-to-1 odds. In any normal battle, those odds meant death. But was not thinking about a normal battle. She turned to Admiral. He was sitting in the command chair, his eyes closed. He looked like he was sleeping but knew better. He was thinking, planning, calculating. "Sir," she said, "we need to talk about project." Opened his eyes. For a moment he looked very old, very tired. Then he smiled and the years seemed to fall away from his face. "I was wondering when you would bring that up," he said. Captain Wu walked over. He had heard mention the project name. His face showed confusion. "Project," he said, "I have never heard of it." "You were not supposed to," said. "Only 12 people in the entire Earth Defense Fleet know about Project. Is one of them. I am another." "What is it?" Wu asked. Stood up from his chair. He walked to the large window at the front of the bridge. Outside he could see the other ships of the fleet. Small, ordinary, weak. "When humans first went to space," began, "we discovered that the galaxy was not empty. We found other races. Some were friendly, some were not. They were the worst. They conquered everything they touched. They destroyed everything they could not conquer." "I know this history," Wu said. "But you do not know what happened next," continued. "The Earth Council realized that our normal fleet could never fight we needed something more, something secret, something legendary." He turned to face Wu. "So they built Project." Pulled up a new screen. It showed the location of Earth's moon. On the far side, hidden from view, was a massive structure. It looked like a shipyard, but it was bigger than any shipyard Wu had ever seen. For 50 years, explained, we have been building ships in secret, not ordinary ships. These ships use technology that we have never shared with anyone, technology that makes our public fleet look like toys. How many ships? Wu asked. His voice was barely a whisper. 12, said. 12 ships, each one named after a legend from Korean history, heroes who fought against impossible odds, warriors who never surrendered. He listed the names. The named after the king who expanded our ancient empire. The named after the general who defeated 1,000,000 enemy soldiers. The named after the queen who ruled with wisdom and strength. The named after the founder who built a nation from nothing. Wu felt his heart beating faster. He had studied these names in school. Every Korean child knew these heroes. They were the foundation of his culture, his identity. The ships carry weapons that they have never seen, said. Plasma cannons that can cut through any shield. Missiles that can track targets across an entire star system. Armor made from materials that we found on a dead planet in the outer rim. Why have we kept this secret? Wu asked. Why not show the galaxy our strength? Walked back to his chair and sat down. Because strength shown is strength measured, he said. The moment we reveal these ships, our enemies will start looking for ways to defeat them. They will study them, copy them, find their weaknesses, but if we keep them hidden, they remain our final card, our last surprise. And now, Wu asked, now we reveal them. Now we have no choice, said. They are dying. Our regular fleet cannot save them. Project is their only hope. Pressed a button on his chair. A communication channel opened. This is Admiral, he said. Authorization code 77309. Activate project, I repeat, activate project. For a long moment there was silence. Then a voice came through the speaker. It belonged to Admiral Park Jinnah, commander of the secret shipyard. Admiral, she said, I have received your authorization, but I must ask, are you sure? Once we launch these ships, there is no going back. The galaxy will know what we have been hiding. I am sure, said. Another pause, then Jinnah spoke again. Very well, project is now active. The 12 ships will launch in 2 hours. They will meet your fleet at the halfway point to Prime. May your ancestors watch over you, Admiral. The channel closed. Wu was still standing in the middle of the bridge. His mind was trying to process everything he had just heard. Secret ships, hidden technology, 50 years of preparation for a moment just like this. There is something else you should know, said. She pulled up another file on her screen. It showed the crew lists for the 12 secret ships. The ships have no crews, she said. They have been waiting in the shipyard, fully loaded, fully armed, but empty. We need to transfer personnel from our current fleet to operate them. Who will go? Wu asked. Looked at him. I was hoping you would, he said. I need someone I trust to command the. It is the largest of the 12, the most powerful. If anyone can use it to its full potential, it is you. Wu felt his throat tighten. This was an honor beyond anything he had ever imagined. To command a ship named after one of Korea's greatest kings. To carry the weight of that legend into battle. I accept, he said. Over the next 2 hours, the fleet prepared for the transfer. Officers and crew members were selected for the 12 secret ships. They were chosen based on skill, experience, and loyalty. Each one was told about project. Each one was sworn to secrecy. When the time came, shuttles launched from the regular fleet. They flew toward the moon, toward the hidden shipyard, toward the ships that would change the fate of the galaxy. Wu was on the first shuttle. He sat by the window and watched as the shipyard came into view. It was enormous. Bigger than any station he had ever seen, and inside it, waiting in the darkness, were 12 shapes that made his breath stop. The ships were beautiful. They did not look like human ships. They did not look like any ships he had ever seen. They were sleek and curved like swords made of metal. Their hulls were black, but they reflected the light of distant stars like mirrors. Strange symbols were painted on their sides, Korean symbols, ancient words that meant honor, courage, and sacrifice. The shuttle docked with the. Wu stepped inside and felt like he was stepping into a dream. The interior was advanced beyond anything in the regular fleet. Screens floated in the air. Weapons systems hummed with power. The engine room glowed with a blue light that seemed almost alive. Wu walked to the bridge and sat in the command chair. It fit him perfectly, like it had been built just for him. "Welcome, Captain Han Wu," a computer voice said. I have been waiting for you." Wu smiled. For the first time in days, he felt hope. "Let us go save he said. One by one, the 12 ships left the shipyard. They flew past the moon and joined the regular fleet. Together, they turned toward Prime and began to accelerate. The legends were awake. And they were angry. The journey to Prime took 3 days. 3 days of traveling through the darkness between stars. 3 days of preparation, training, and waiting. Lieutenant spent those 3 days in the fighter bay of the. She was 28 years old, with a slim build and quick hands. She had been a pilot since she was 18. She had flown more combat missions than anyone else in the fleet. And now she was looking at a fighter that made all her previous ships look like children's toys. The fighter was called a dragon. It was small and fast, with swept-back wings that looked like flames frozen in metal. Its weapons were hidden inside its body, ready to emerge at a moment's notice. Its engine could push it to speeds that would kill a normal pilot. But the pilots who flew dragons were not normal. "Beautiful, is it not?" a voice said behind her. Turned, Captain Wu was standing there, his arms crossed, a smile on his face. "I have never seen anything like it," admitted. "The engineering is incredible. The weapons system alone is 50 years ahead of anything in the regular fleet." "That is the point," Wu said. "They think they know human technology. They have studied our ships for decades. They have calculated exactly how much force they need to defeat us. They have planned for every weapon, every tactic, every strategy." He walked closer to the dragon and put his hand on its wing. "But they have not planned for this." Looked at the rows of dragons in the bay. There were 100 of them. 100 pilots had been selected from the fleet to fly them. 100 young men and women who were about to enter a battle that should have been impossible to win. "How do you feel?" Wu asked. Thought about the question. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother, who still made her favorite soup whenever she came home. Her father, who had been a pilot before her. Her little brother, who wanted to follow in her footsteps. "I feel ready," she said finally. "Whatever happens, I know what we are fighting for." Wu nodded. He understood. "Get some rest," he said. "We arrive at Prime in 6 hours. When we get there, everything changes." Watched him walk away. Then she climbed into her dragon and ran through the systems one more time. She wanted to know every button, every switch, every function. When the battle started, she could not afford to make mistakes. 6 hours later, the fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Prime appeared before them, a beautiful blue and green planet that reminded of Earth. But something was wrong. Dark clouds covered parts of the surface. Fires burned in the darkness below. And in orbit around the planet, like a swarm of angry insects, were the ships. 300 of them, just like the reports had said. Admiral's voice came through the communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral. We are now in visual range of the enemy. They have detected us. They are turning to face our fleet." On the screens could see the ships moving. They were ugly things. All angles and spikes painted in dark red and black. They looked like weapons given form, made to kill and nothing else. "I know the odds seem impossible," continued. "I know that many of you are afraid. That is normal. That is human. But I want you to remember something. We are not here for glory. We are not here for conquest. We are here because a peaceful race asked for our help, because they had no one else to turn to." He paused. When he spoke again, his voice was harder, stronger. "They think they know us. They think we are weak. They think we will run when we see their numbers. But they do not know what we have brought. They do not know about our legends. Today we show them." On the bridge of the Captain Wu stood at the center of his command. Around him, his officers were at their stations. Every face was focused. Every hand was steady. "Activate legend mode," Wu ordered. The ship responded. The lights on the bridge changed from white to blue. New screens appeared, showing weapon systems that had never been used in combat before. The hull of the ship began to glow with a faint golden light. Across the fleet, the other 11 legend ships did the same. 12 ships, shining like stars against the darkness of space. They noticed immediately. Their communication channels exploded with confused chatter. Their sensors could not understand what they were seeing. The ships they had detected were suddenly showing power readings that should have been impossible. "Sir," an officer reported to his commander, "the human ships, something is happening. Their energy output has increased by a factor of 10. Our weapons may not be effective." The commander was a massive creature with 4 eyes and scales like armor. His name was, and he had conquered 17 worlds. He had never lost a battle. The idea of losing to humans was ridiculous. "They are trying to scare us," said. "It is a trick, nothing more. All ships attack formation. We will crush them in minutes." The fleet began to move. 300 ships against 44 human ships. The math was simple. The outcome was certain. Or so believed. Admiral watched the enemy approach. His hands were folded behind his back. His face was calm. "Signal the legend ships," he said. "Begin phase 1." The 12 legend ships moved forward. They separated from the main fleet and flew directly toward the... It looked like suicide. 12 ships against 300. But then the ships fired. Golden beams of light shot from they cut through the darkness like swords through paper. They hit the first line of ships and simply erased them. One moment the ships were there. The next moment they were gone, not destroyed, not damaged, gone. The fired next. Its weapons were different. Thousands of small projectiles launched from its hull. They moved so fast that they were invisible to the naked eye. They hit the second line of ships and tore through them like wind through leaves. They activated its shields and flew straight into the heart of the enemy formation. Weapons hit it from every direction. Missiles exploded against its hull. Laser beams tried to cut through its armor. Nothing worked. They emerged from the other side undamaged and began firing at targets all around it. On the bridge of the Admiral smiled. "Phase 2, he said, "launch all fighters." The fighter bays of every human ship opened. Dragons poured out like a silver river. At the front of the formation was Lieutenant. Her hands were on the controls. Her eyes were on the enemy. "Dragon Squadron," she said into her radio. "Follow my lead, target their capital ships, ignore the fighters. Our job is to break their spine." She pushed her throttle forward. The dragon accelerated so fast that the stars blurred around her. The fighters tried to intercept her, but they were too slow. She flew past them like they were standing still. Her weapons locked onto a capital ship. She pressed the trigger. 2 missiles launched from her dragon. They hit the ship's engine and detonated. The explosion was so bright that she had to look away. When she looked back, the capital ship was broken in half. Fires burned inside it. Escape pods launched from its hull. But there was no time to watch. More targets were waiting. The battle had begun. And the legends were winning. The battle for Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Lieutenant flew through a storm of fire and metal. Enemy ships exploded around her. Debris bounced off her dragon's shields. The sound of combat filled her ears. Screams from dying pilots. Orders from commanders. the constant thunder of weapons firing. She had lost count of how many enemy ships she had destroyed. 10, 20, maybe more. Her dragon was covered in scorch marks from near misses. One of her wing tips had been torn off by a missile, but she was still flying, still fighting. "Dragon Squadron, report," she called into her radio. "Dragon 2 still active. Dragon 5 damaged but functional. Dragon 8, I have lost my main weapons, switching to backup." Not everyone answered. At least 20 of her pilots were gone. Their dragons floated in the void, broken and silent, pushed the grief down into her stomach. She would mourn later. Right now, she had work to do. "Form up on me," she ordered. "We are going after their flagship." The flagship was a monster. It was 5 times larger than any other ship in the battle. Its weapons were powerful enough to crack a moon. Its shields had deflected everything thrown at them so far. Commander stood on its bridge, screaming orders at his crew. "How is this possible?" he roared. "We outnumber them, we have more weapons, more ships. How are we losing?" His officers had no answers. The battle had turned into a disaster. Half of the fleet was already destroyed. The human legend ships were cutting through his formations like they were made of paper. Every tactic he tried failed. Every strategy collapsed. "Sir," one of his officers said, "the humans are approaching our position. Their fighters are targeting our engines." Looked at the tactical screen. A group of small human ships was racing toward him. At the front was a single fighter, faster than the others. "Destroy that lead ship," ordered. "All weapons concentrate fire." The flagship turned its guns toward. Dozens of weapon systems locked onto her dragon. Warning alarms screamed in her cockpit. Red lights flashed everywhere. But did not turn away. She flew straight toward the wall of fire. "Come on," she whispered, "just a little closer." The weapons fired. A wall of energy raced toward her. It should have vaporized her in an instant. But at the last moment, a shadow fell across her ship. Something massive moved between her and the flagship. It was the... Captain Wu's voice came through her radio. "Get to the engines, Lieutenant. We will keep them busy." They took the full force of the flagship's attack. Its shields flared white. Its hull groaned under the pressure, but it held. It held and it fired back. Golden beams slammed into the flagship. For the first time, its shields flickered. Felt the ship shake beneath his feet. "Impossible," he breathed. On the bridge of the warning lights were flashing. The ship had taken heavy damage. Several decks had lost power. 3 crew members were dead. Many more were injured. But Wu was smiling. "Sir, our shields are failing," his tactical officer reported. "We cannot take another hit like that." "We do not need to," Wu said. "Look." He pointed at the screen, and her remaining dragons had reached the flagship's engines. They were firing everything they had: missiles, energy weapons, even their emergency ramming protocols. One by one, the flagship's engines exploded. The massive ship began to drift. Without engines, it could not maneuver. It could not escape. "Now," Wu said, tell Admiral to fire the main gun." Across the battlefield, they heard the signal. Admiral stood at the center of his bridge, his eyes fixed on the enemy flagship. "Charge the main weapon," he ordered. They had a weapon that no one in the galaxy had ever seen. It was called the Dragon's Breath. It used technology that human scientists did not fully understand. They had found it on a dead world, buried in ruins that were millions of years old. They had spent decades figuring out how to use it. Today, they would use it for the first time. The weapon charged. The entire ship began to glow with a white light. Energy crackled along its hull. The lights in every room flickered. "Sir," the weapon officer said, "Dragon's Breath is ready." Looked at the flagship one last time. He thought about all the worlds it had destroyed, all the races it had enslaved, all the children who had died under its guns. "Fire," he said. A beam of pure white energy shot from the It crossed the distance between the ships in less than a second. It hit the flagship and punched straight through its shields like they did not exist. The flagship exploded. Not just broke apart, exploded. The entire ship turned into a ball of fire that expanded outward like a small sun. The light was so bright that every screen in the battlefield went white for a moment. When the light faded, the flagship was gone. Commander was gone, and the heart of the fleet had been ripped out. The remaining ships stopped firing. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, one by one, they began to turn away. They were running, retreating, fleeing. Admiral watched them go. His face showed no joy, no triumph, only tiredness. "Do not pursue," he ordered. "Let them run. Let them tell their empire what happened here today." On the surface of Prime, Ambassador looked up at the sky. The fires were still burning around her. The ruins of her city still smoked. But the enemy ships were leaving. The bombardment had stopped. She fell to her knees and wept. Around her, others were emerging from their hiding places. They looked at the sky with disbelief. They had been certain they were going to die. They had said goodbye to their families. They had accepted their fate. And then the humans had come. "They saved us," whispered. "They actually saved us." In orbit, the human fleet gathered together. The Legend ships were damaged but functional. The regular ships had taken losses. Many good people had died. But they had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. Landed her damaged dragon in this bay. She climbed out of the cockpit on shaking legs. Her flight suit was soaked with sweat. Her hands would not stop trembling. Captain Wu was waiting for her. "You did well," he said. Looked at him. Then she looked at her dragon. Then she looked at the empty spots where her fallen pilots used to park their ships. "Did we do the right thing?" she asked. Wu put his hand on her shoulder. "They are alive," he said. "Millions of innocent people who would be dead without us. Yes, we did the right thing." Nodded. She was too tired to argue, too tired to think. "Get some rest," Wu said. "Tomorrow we start the next chapter." She did not ask what he meant. She was already walking toward her quarters. Behind her, the stars continued to burn. And somewhere in the darkness, they were running home. Running to tell their empire about the humans. Running to warn them about the legends. 3 days after the battle, Admiral stood on the surface of Prime. The air smelled like smoke and ash. Ruined buildings stretched in every direction. The beautiful planet that he had seen in pictures was now a wounded world. But it was a world that was still alive, still breathing, still fighting to survive. Ambassador walked beside him. Her 4 arms hung at her sides. Her golden eyes were tired but grateful. "We have counted our dead," she said. 8 million died in the attack. 8 million voices silenced forever. Closed his eyes for a moment. 8 million. It was a number too large to understand, too heavy to carry. "I am sorry we could not come sooner," he said. Stopped walking. She turned to face him. "Admiral," she said, "do not apologize. You saved us. Without your fleet, every single would be dead. Our entire civilization would be gone. 8 million died, yes, but 5 billion still live because of you." She reached out with one of her hands and touched his arm. It was a gesture of respect in culture, the highest honor one could give. "We will never forget what humanity did for us," she said. "Our children will learn your names. Our songs will tell of this day. You are now part of our history." Felt something warm in his chest. It was not pride. It was something deeper, something harder to name. "What will you do now?" he asked. Looked at the ruins around her. "We will rebuild," she said. "It will take years, decades, but we will rebuild. And this time we will not be so foolish. We will build ships. We will train soldiers. We will never be helpless again." "They will come back," warned. "They will want revenge." "Let them come," said. Her voice was hard, determined. "Next time they will not find easy prey. Next time they will find allies standing beside us." She looked at with those golden eyes. If you will have us. Smiled. I think that can be arranged. Far above the planet, the human fleet was preparing to leave. The ships had been repaired as much as possible. The wounded had been treated. The dead had been honored. On the bridge of the Captain Wu was reading a message from Earth. The Earth Council had finally responded to Admiral's actions. The message was long and full of complicated political language, but the meaning was simple. They were not happy. Had disobeyed direct orders. He had revealed project without authorization. He had started a conflict with the Empire. The Council wanted answers. They wanted explanations. They wanted someone to blame. Wu put down the message and laughed. Something funny? Lieutenant asked. She was standing nearby, her arm in a sling from a minor injury during the battle. The Council is angry, Wu said. They want to punish the Admiral for saving 5 billion lives. Politicians said. She made the word sound like a curse. Do not worry, Wu said. The Admiral has already thought of this. Look. He pointed at the communication screen. It showed news feeds from across the galaxy. Every major civilization was talking about the Battle of Prime. Every species had seen the footage. Humans fighting against impossible odds. Humans sacrificing themselves for a race they had never even met. The humans were heroes. The Council cannot touch him now, Wu explained. If they punish the Admiral, the entire galaxy will see them as cowards. They will have no choice but to call this a success. Smiled. It was the first time she had smiled since the battle. The Admiral planned this from the beginning, she said. He knew the Council would say no. He knew he would have to disobey orders. And he knew that if we won, public opinion would protect him. That is why he is the Admiral, Wu said. The communication system beeped. A new message was coming through. Wu opened it and saw something that made his eyebrows rise. What is it? Asked. We have visitors, Wu said. Outside a ship was approaching. It was not human. It was something else entirely. The ship was smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop. It moved through space with a grace that no human ship could match, and it was broadcasting a message on all frequencies. Humans of Earth, the message said, we are the collective of free worlds. We have watched your battle with great interest. We have seen your courage, your sacrifice, your honor. We would like to talk. Admiral had returned to He listened to the message with a thoughtful expression. Who are the collective of free worlds? He asked. Commander pulled up information on her screen. They are an alliance of 17 civilizations, she said. They formed 200 years ago to resist the Empire. They have been fighting a losing war ever since. They have more ships, more soldiers, more resources. The collective has been slowly losing ground for generations. And now they want to talk to us, said. It makes sense, said. They just watched 12 of our ships destroy half of the fleet. They know what our technology can do. They want us as allies. Stood up and straightened his uniform. Open a channel, he said. Let us see what they have to say. The face that appeared on the screen was not human. It had green skin and large black eyes, but its expression was easy to read. Hope. Desperate, burning hope. Admiral, the alien said, my name is Sala. I speak for the collective of free worlds. What you did today has given hope to billions of beings who had lost it. For generations, we have fought the alone. We have watched them destroy world after world. We thought we were doomed. Sala leaned forward. But now we have seen what humans can do. We have seen your ships, your warriors, your will to fight, and we are here to ask you a question. Ask, said. Will you stand with us? Sala asked. Will you join our fight? Will you help us end the threat forever? Thought about the question. He thought about Earth, so far away. He thought about the Council, who would surely oppose this. He thought about the soldiers who had already died. The soldiers who would die in the future if this war continued. But he also thought about Ambassador kneeling in the ruins. About 5 billion lives that would have been lost without human intervention. "I cannot speak for all of humanity," said. "That decision belongs to our leaders, but I can tell you this. Humans do not stand by and watch innocent people die. We never have. We never will. Whatever our council decides, know that the people of Earth have seen what they are. And we do not forgive. We do not forget." Sala smiled. It was a strange expression on an alien face, but understood it perfectly. "That is enough for now," Sala said. "We will wait for your leaders to decide. But Admiral, whatever happens next, know that you have already made history today. The galaxy will remember the Battle of Prime. The galaxy will remember the humans who came when no one else would." The communication ended. Turned to his officers. They were all watching him, waiting. "Set course for Earth," he said. "We have a lot of explaining to do." As the fleet turned toward home, Admiral walked to the window of the bridge. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, they were gathering their remaining forces. Somewhere out there, the collective was preparing for the next battle. Somewhere out there, 100 different civilizations were learning the name of humanity for the first time. The future was uncertain, dangerous, full of challenges that could barely imagine. But for the first time in a long time, he was not afraid. Because humanity had shown the galaxy what it was capable of. They had taken ships named after legends and turned those legends into reality. They had proven that courage was more than just a word, that honor was more than just a concept, that the human spirit could not be measured by numbers alone. The legends were alive. And they were just getting started.